David Ortiz and steroids are back in the news once again. But I say Boston Globe columnist Dan Shaughnessy, who stirred all of this up once again, was a little bit over the top. So the story that just will not die, David Ortiz and steroids and performance-enhancing drugs and suspicions about him taking them, is a story that has been going on for years upon years upon years, ever since 2003, when the infamous list of 103 major leaguers was supposedly going to be leaked, that there were certain players that were under suspicion of drugs and had failed drug tests, and that David Ortiz was one of them. Well, ever since that time, the media has been writing suspicion columns about David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, and a lot of other players that were quote-unquote suspected to be on the list. And the latest iteration of this was last week when Dan Shaughnessy, who's a columnist for the Boston Globe, decided to do a little rehash of steroid history when he went into the Red Sox locker room on Tuesday and confronted Ortiz and asked him speculative questions about, do you think that the fans out there are thinking that you're on some type of enhanced substance because you've come out of the gate from your Achilles heel injury with no spring training and gotten off to a sizzling start? And basically Shaughnessy was throwing accusations at Ortiz, new accusations, without any basis. And to me, I thought Shaughnessy was way over the top with this. This guy, you have to consider the source here, is a hack, quite frankly. He's a guy who writes for the Boston Globe, and he doesn't terribly try very hard for his column ideas. He seems to rehash a lot of things. He's a very negative columnist, and he doesn't really bring anything new to the table in terms of Ortiz and performance-enhancing drugs. He just threw a bunch of accusations out there that he wanted Ortiz to answer to. But really, there's nothing concrete to say that Ortiz is doing anything right now, that he's enhancing himself. In fact, Ortiz's response to Shaughnessy was, hey, I was just tested today, go check my tests and draw your own conclusions. But this is what Shaughnessy's history is. He's very negative towards both the Red Sox and the other Boston teams out there. So on a slow news day, he goes out there and he writes this type of column. Listen, I'm not defending David Ortiz. If he's doing something, if he's enhancing his performance, he should be suspended. But don't bring up this 2003 steroid list of major leaguers. Until that list is finally leaked and released, that's old news. So for Shaughnessy to go out there and embarrass Ortiz with these accusations is a joke. I've said it before in this program, and I'll say it again. I'm not a big worrier about steroids in sports, and you guys get on me for it, but the bottom line is this. If the players' union and the owners didn't care enough about drug testing until very recently, then why should I care? If Ortiz is doing something, suspend him. Otherwise, this is old news, and it's a joke that Shaughnessy went after Ortiz because he got off to a hot start. Well, Ortiz hasn't been so hot lately. So what does that mean? That now he's cycling off steroids? It's all a bunch of baloney. And quite frankly, I didn't think I would be commenting on this story at any point. I thought it would be a quick 24-hour news cycle. It was just a rehash version of a story that Shaughnessy's done in the past, and I didn't feel the need to comment on it. But a week later, the story still has legs, so I'm putting it out there. That's my take on Ortiz and the current steroid rumors and Dan Shaughnessy. What's your take? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends about This Week in Red. And don't forget to check out my blog at BoSoxInjection.com.